Welcome to the
Okay.
second episode of the Banksia Brief. I'm your host, Sean Matthews, and today I'll be interviewing Riccardo Sestari, a CEO and founder of Inia Mindcheck, which is a fantastic mental health tech platform that can assist aged care workers in their organizations. So I'd like to firstly welcome Riccardo to the Banksia Brief. Welcome.
Hi, Sean. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. I think starting off, when we look at some facts on workers' compensation and work health-related mental health issues, $480 million is paid out in workers' compensation each year with regard to work-related mental health. So it's pretty important. I'm really interested to understand a bit about what you've done in your journey. So just tell me briefly about your background and how you started Mindcheck.
Yeah, sure. I guess it came from a personal need, first and foremost. I have personally dealt with anxiety since my early 20s when I started in management consulting. And while I still at uni, my first university degree overseas. And I had generalized anxiety disorder. I had panic attacks at the early point in my life. And a few years later, I also lost one of my best friends to suicide, which is something that shouldn't be happening today anymore. And over the years, I learned how to understand myself a little bit better. I went through a ton of, I went to psychologists, which was very helpful, and I recommend everyone to go through because it is for everyone. And I learned to meditate, I learned to self-check a lot more. And over time, obviously, I grew in my career. And a few years ago, I was working as a head of HR for a company called Go1, which is a well-known tech startup from Australia. I was with them since the early days, since they were 15 employees. I created an HR department there, and I helped the company grow from 15 to 250 employees in 4 years. So it was an awesome ride in terms of growing a successful company. But at that point, I started to realize that a lot of people were having problems with depression and anxiety. I was always self-checking, checking with psychologists here and there. I've always done that my whole life. And in Australia, they gave me this test, a psychologist and the GP as well. In my annual check, they gave me this test, which was the Depression Anxiety Stress Scales questionnaire. I took the test, and I immediately realized that could be very useful if there would be a tool online for people to self-check from time to time, a free tool. So I have a few degrees, one in applied psychology, a couple in IT as well. And I decided to put that test online. So basically I put my developer cap on my weekends, created the Mindcheck website, mindcheck.me. You can take the test for free if you want. And eventually I had about 5,000 people doing every month the test. It is completely free, completely anonymous. Everyone can just go there and take the test. And the feedback, the comments that they were giving me, they were amazing. It was in the likes of, I finally understand what I have. You saved my life. Or I finally, thank you so much for the insight. I'll get out of bed and go out cycling. Because we do provide a lot of insight around the contributing factors to depression, anxiety, and specific to their situation. So with that motivation, let's say with that kind of gratitude from other people and success that we were having with the website, I decided to quit. I quit Go1 as a senior executive there and started to dedicate myself full time to Mindcheck, which is called Inia Mindcheck now because we are expanding the brand a little bit more. So that's how we created Mindcheck. We have expanded a little bit more. There's not just the depression, anxiety, stress test. There is also a few more tests for self-check. So there is the contributing factors questionnaire, which is our own questionnaire, unique in the world, helps people understand which of the 19 contributing factors, evidence-based contributing factors, that might be affecting their lives at these exact moments. And these are things such as using social media too much, or being lost contact with nature, or not exercising enough, or being lonely, or so there are 19 contributing factors that are evidence-based to depression and anxiety, at least the ones that we have identified in our research. And that people can understand a little bit more using the system. There's also the burnout test, and now we have a new leadership test as well. So people can self-check and understand what to do about it as well.
It's amazing. With Inia, what does Inia stand for? Because people will go, Inia, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's actually the genus of the Brazilian pink dolphin, the Amazon pink dolphin. Right. There's we all love dolphins. They are all flowy and they seem peacefully and nice, and they provide, at least for me and most people that I know, this sense of happiness or like sympathy. And the pink dolphins of the Amazon basin, they are beautiful, they are huge, and they're pink. So they are fun. So we decided to go there. I mean, I'm originally from Brazil, so it's kind of something that we identify with.
Terrific. Just with the aged care sectors going through a lot of transformation and change, and the pressures and challenges around aged care, especially in that increased emotional and physical standpoint, where what can the Mindcheck platform do to support aged care workers? Because they're dealing with constantly the pressures of trying to look after our most vulnerable society. But with that comes inevitably death, inevitably illness, and they build relationships with these elderly people. So, you know, how can the Mindcheck platform help support them?
Yeah, that is an excellent question, and I believe the aged care sector, as you said, it is a sector that naturally goes through stressors, more stressors than the other population, than the other occupation, I guess, most of the others at least. There is this constant phase of like the familiarization with death, with grief, with dealing with patients there, that you create a connection and that ultimately are kind of going towards the end of their lives. And also, especially with the COVID pandemic, we have these new stressors of higher risk on that population, higher restrictions. They'll probably be doing a lot more things that they used to be doing to make sure everything is compliant and things. So the level of fear, of anxiety is certainly much higher in aged care than in other places, which is already high in the pandemic. So it is extremely important that these workers do a self-check from time to time. And I recommend using Mindcheck, obviously, because we are scientifically validated tests there for them to take those tests. And also to take care of their lives. I mean, using the contributing factors questionnaire, for example, will help them understand what areas of their lives they should work on to prevent, to create more resilience. And to prevent having depression, anxiety, or even to start working towards improving the states of if they have depression, anxiety, or stress. So using a system like Mindcheck is extremely important, and doing self-checks regularly to understand the situation.
It's very good. How confidential and private is that information? Because look, working in any sort of industry, you're always mindful of people's vulnerabilities, really about how they talking about mental health. There's always been a challenge and a stigma, even though we talk about and freely, but really when people come down to it, it's a very private situation, and people either will talk about it and some won't. So how private and confidential is that information if they use your tech platform?
Yeah. So it's extremely private. I mean, coming from the point of view of a person who has gone through this, I understand that it needs to be private. Having a mental health issue, even if you're stressed, or if you're close to burnout, or if you're developing some type of anxiety, depression, they're extremely intimate issues. There are things that are happening internally that some people might not be prepared to open up to anyone, obviously. And this needs to be, I mean, when we created platform, we built privacy from the ground up. We are really ensure privacy. So we just developed the database, we developed the system to not take any individual information that is identifiable. So if you go there to the website today, or even if you're working in Mindcheck for organization, which is our organizational product, even in that sense, we do not record names or emails or any identifiable information with any results. So if you go as an individual to Mindcheck and take the test, we will not ask you to download anything. We will not ask you to register, to put credit card, anything. Just go to the website, click a button, do the test, and I will give you a report. There is nothing that we record there that would identify you as a person ever. So if you decide to create an account, then yes, you will create an email because we need a login. And even that, we even tell you to use any name that you want to identify you. In the organizational campaigns, we obviously need a list of employees and emails so we can email them the links to take the self-awareness campaigns, the self-assessment campaigns. What we do is in the database structure, we have a list with all the employees' emails in the campaign, and a separate table, we have the list of results, and these are not connected at all. So once I click on a special link for the employee, let's say, for example, I'm an employee, I click on the link to take the mental wellness, the self-check.
Yeah.
It will, once I complete the test, it would mark that I have completed the test in this list, and we'll record the result in this separate list. But this separate list has over 200,000 people who have completed the test. So we will never know which results are yours. The result is associated with the campaign, but not with the employee. In this way, we can produce reports for the organization so they can understand internal mental health, understand the contributing factors affecting the employees and do something about it, those things. But they will never be able to identify an employee. Yeah, we also make sure
that was my next question. Sorry about
sorry about it.
Providers and how they benefit from the Mindcheck. So go on.
Yeah. So I was still talking about privacy. So the companies will only show reports to companies if at least 10 employees complete that, because less than 10, there might be a way to identify the employee. So we really ensure privacy, take it super seriously. We don't record in the personally identifiable information. It's people, and we usually have because we explain very well to the users that we have a high uptake in mental health campaigns, from 50 to 80% uptake. Your question about what we provide to organizations.
Yes, yeah, and how can they support their staff and employees better? It's always good for the individuals to do these tests, and obviously, like you said, it's based on scientific information, psychological information that it gives them the basis, but out of that, there's ways in which organizations have a part to play, and how they improve that, the mental health and well-being of their staff and employees.
Yeah. So with when companies use the Inia Mindcheck for organizations product, they are basically, it's a very unique way to address the mental health issue, because they'll be addressing both top down and bottom up. In the bottom-up approach is that they are really empowering the individual with the self-assessment, that realization, that insight of what they're having. There is a ton of resources. So we have a resource hub, which is kind of a mini encyclopedia of mental health conditions and the contributing factors, with a ton of information, a ton of resources applicable to that person. That kind of resource hub is personalized for the individual. So once they take the test, they will understand the contributing factors and the conditions that are applicable to them, and they can navigate the resource hub appropriately. And we have also a online community where people can chat with other people, can ask questions. We work, if the organization have EEP providers like psychologists for people to call, we work alongside in tandem with those, so we can connect them properly. The individual get their motivation to connect and actually deal with the problem before it gets too serious. And for people who are not really developing depression or anxiety, they can still check the contributing factors and work on those things to prevent it, to create more resilience and prevent those things from happening. So that's the bottom-up approach, which is extremely important. It's all private. That's on the individual level, and the organization will not see what the individual is doing because it's private. The top-down approach is through the survey, through the mental health campaigns. So once they launch a mental health campaign, an organizational mental health campaign in Mindcheck, they basically load the list of employees in our system, just names and emails. They press a button. This system will email each employee individually, explaining to them that we are running a mental health campaign in the organization via Mindcheck, which is an independent organization that will keep privacy, obviously, for everyone. The users will take that mental wellness check and will get that bottom up. But the organization will have a range of reports that they can understand the state of mental health internally. And most importantly, they'll be able to understand the contributing factors affecting their specific group of employees in the campaign. Depending on the contributing factors, such as if people are away from nature, or people are being lonely, or there are a few work issues as well that have been proven to be correlated to depression and anxiety, with a causation effect with depression and anxiety. And all of these things, there is a good explanation of what to do in each situation. So we'll be ranking the contributing factors affecting the employees in the campaign, and the organization can take action towards implementing best practices or addressing those contributing factors. We can help as well if they take a plan in which we can assist them. So we can do some consultancy as well, helping the organization understand what to do, implement best practices, and kind of check month over month to see what they have been doing and improving in that sense. So it's basically a full mental health campaign, mental health awareness, and addressing mental health internally for the organization.
It's really a great way to quantify relevant issues in the organization that you can address. And a lot of this can be done. I think a lot of organizations tend to either find it too difficult, or there's a level of skepticism around these sorts of things. So I think it's important for organizations to build a strategy and a plan around how do they keep their staff healthy, well, and support them in a way that will retain staff as well. Staff retention could be a very high thing, but also more importantly to recognise that there's contributing factors that may be occurring in an organisation that need to stop, and then start doing other means that will support people in the workforce. So really good information just on the costs of using the platform. So if you were, just ordinarily, you're just a person that works and you just want to try it on go to the website and do a test, it's free of charge.
Yeah, for individuals, I mean, we are a social enterprise. We are registered with Social Traders, with Queensland Social Enterprise Council. And we started the whole business, the whole organization for the purpose for helping people out with depression, anxiety, and mental health issues. So all the things that we have for individuals are completely free. You can go to mindcheck.me, and take the test by yourself for free without registration. For organizations, we do have a free plan as well, a very generous one that will allow organizations to launch internal mental health campaigns and get that bottom-up approach. They will just, in the free plan, they will not have access to the top-down approach, to the reports. Yeah. But obviously, if they want to go to the full platform, it's less than $50 per employee per month. So it's very affordable. We're really making this as affordable as possible to help as many organizations and people in the world as possible. We are in this to help people out mostly.
How many people, Ricardo, have you got at the moment that you've helped with this program?
We have helped over 200,000. I think it's 220 so far. On average, about 10,000 people a month go through the system.
That's amazing. That's astounding. What do you have to achieve by the end of this year with Inia Mindcheck?
So we want to help 100,000 more by the end of the year. I mean, we really want people to use the system and move towards a bigger goal in the next few years, so to reach 1 million people helped in the system. So this includes helping a lot of organizations as well, because we can understand that organizations, they basically are part of life. Work is a part of life, it's a necessary part of life. And people in organizations, if they have the support from the organization, they can already help support the baseline, the whole their lives. So if you can help organizations help their employees, we'll be addressing the issue immensely in the world. So that's what we want to do.
Well, you go a fair way to reducing the amount of compensation that if we can help a lot more people with Inia Mindcheck, it definitely. And then when you look at the #1 leading cause of disability in the world, it's depression.
It is, yeah. And a lot of business don't realize as well. There was a study done by Deloitte, I think in the beginning of this last year, and they renewed this year, that state that about 6% of your payroll is spent on lost productivity alone due to depression and anxiety, 6%. So just calculate the amount of payroll that you have in a year times 6%, and that is the hidden cost of productivity alone. And that doesn't count turnover, which is huge cost, the quality of life of people, quality of service, which can be prevented if people do more self-checks and treat their lives better, create more resilience, which we can all provide via the system.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Look, thank you so much for your time, Ricardo. It's been great to hear about your journey and what you're trying to achieve. And hopefully some of the aged care organizations and providers and employees will hear this and see this Zoom podcast and get some sort of understanding that there is support and help there. And if you're looking from the bottom up or the top down, either way, there's a good way that will improve the world substantially just by providing this sort of service. So amazing. And look, the cost factor it's a no-brainer why a lot more organizations wouldn't be doing this right now. So thanks again for your time, Ricardo.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah.
It's been great to hear about the great work that Ricardo and his team at Inia Mindcheck are doing to support improved mental health and well-being for everyone. So it's something that I'm fairly passionate about and supporting. And as such, Banksia Consulting Group is proud to be partnering with Inia Mindcheck on the journey of improving mental health and well-being of our aged and healthcare frontline workers and organisations. So please check out Inia Mindcheck website. It's www.mindcheck.me. And again, thanks everybody for joining me again on the second episode of the Banksia Brief. Looking forward to seeing you all again soon. In my next Banksia Brief, we'll be interviewing Carlos Garcia, who's the senior consultant for SSOLIT, which is looking at digital transformation. So that'll be our next Zoom recording for you to review. Okay, have a great day, guys. Keep well and keep safe. Cheers.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.